The United States Congress was conceived in a fervor of debate and compromise. As the framers of the Constitution gathered at the Philadelphia Convention in 1787, they were driven by a dual imperative: to create an effective national government and to prevent the tyranny that might arise from concentrated power. This led to the Great Compromise, where it was decided that a bicameral legislature would balance the needs of populous and less populous states. The Senate would represent states equally, and the House would represent the population, ensuring both sovereignty and democratic principles were upheld. Notable historical figures. History remembers leaders like Henry Clay, the Great Compromiser, whose skillful negotiations shaped the legislative agenda in the early 19th century, and Lyndon B. Johnson, who before becoming president masterfully navigated the Senate to pass groundbreaking civil rights legislation. These individuals exemplified leadership that significantly influenced the course of American history through legislative action. Landmark legislation. Congress has been the arena for passing landmark legislation that has transformed American society. The New Deal legislation of the 1930s, spearheaded by President Franklin D. Roosevelt, saw a vast expansion of federal government activity aimed at combating the Great Depression. Decades later, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, passed amidst fervent opposition, marked a pivotal moment in the struggle for racial equality, illustrating the power of Congress to shape societal norms and ensure justice. Evolution of powers and influence. Over the centuries, the powers and influence of the Senate and the House have evolved in response to the changing dynamics of American politics. The Senate has often been seen as a more deliberative body, where extended debates and the filibuster have allowed minority opinions to be heard and considered at length. Meanwhile, the House has adapted its rules to manage the demands of a larger membership and more frequent elections, reflecting more immediate public concerns. Chapter 1: Introduction to the Bicameral System. The U.S. Constitution established a bicameral legislature as a part of the Great Compromise between small and large states. This two-house system ensures a balance of power, preventing any single group from having too much influence. The Senate represents states equally with 2 senators each, while the House reflects population sizes, with representatives apportioned based on the latest census data. Chapter 2: The Senate, the Upper Chamber. Often referred to as the Upper Chamber, the Senate is composed of 100 members, 2 senators from each state serving staggered 6-year terms. This design allows the Senate to operate with a level of continuity, as only about 1/3 of the seats are up for election every 2 years. Key powers of the Senate. Ratifying treaties. The Senate must approve treaties with foreign governments by a 2/3 vote, giving it considerable influence over foreign policy. Confirming appointments. Presidential appointments to the cabinet, federal courts, and other key government positions require Senate confirmation. Impeachment trials. While the House can impeach federal officials, including the president, the Senate is responsible for conducting the trial. A 2/3 vote is necessary to convict. Chapter 3: The House of Representatives, the Lower Chamber. The House of Representatives, often simply called the House, is considered the lower chamber, but don't let that fool you. It wields significant power. The House has 435 members who serve 2-year terms, ensuring that this body is highly responsive to the public's needs and changes in public opinion. Key powers of the House. Initiating revenue bills. All legislation related to taxes and revenue must originate in the House, reflecting its closeness to the electorate. Impeachment power. The House has the sole authority to impeach federal officials, an essential tool for overseeing the federal government. Electing the president in a tie. If the Electoral College is deadlocked, the House selects the president, with each state delegation having 1 vote. Chapter 4: How they work together. For a bill to become law, both the House and the Senate must pass identical versions of the bill. The process starts with a proposal, debate, and vote in one House, then moves to the other. If both pass the bill, it goes to the president for approval. If the president vetoes it, Congress can override the veto with a 2/3 vote in both houses. Chapter 5: Differences and Dynamics. The differing structures and rules of the Senate and the House create unique dynamics. The Senate is often seen as more deliberative, owing to its smaller size and longer terms, which potentially allow for a broader perspective on issues. In contrast, the House, with its large number of members and shorter terms, tends to be more reactive to immediate public opinion and more partisan. Chapter 6. Conclusion: The Balance of Democracy. The Senate and the House of Representatives play crucial roles in American governance. By understanding these roles and how they complement each other, citizens can appreciate the complexities and the beauty of the democratic process. The bicameral legislature is designed to balance various interests, making thoughtful legislation that reflects the diverse views and needs of the United States. This exploration of the Senate and the House reveals the intricacies of policymaking and the importance of each chamber in maintaining the checks and balances that are fundamental to U.S. democracy. Whether you're a student, a professional, or simply a curious individual, grasping these concepts is key to understanding how America governs itself and how you can influence those decisions from your local ballot box to the national stage.